Are we good? We can see everything? Alright. Then let's get started in a second here. Um I just need to move my big fat head to the bottom right because that's been way of all my last videos. So good on that. Um okay. Let's get this started then. So what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna go over some basic like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Probably about an hour, hour and a half. If anybody has any questions about anything in specific, feel free, jump on, look at it. Um, I'm going to do this all in VS Code. If you don't have an IDE, haven't used that before, for all of this, you probably just want to use VS Code. You can use Atom if you want to, if that's your preference. Feel free, go ahead. Otherwise, I'll pull it up here in a second. I would recommend this is what you use. Screen resolution's terrible. Just switch between. Alright, anyway. This is the one that I would recommend. It's kind of the most popular right now. Maybe. I don't know if that's true anymore. It used to be. I don't know if people are using Sublime more or what, but this is what I would guess would be the most popular. Regardless, um, works for any operating system, Windows, Linux, Mac. So this will work across the board. You don't have to be on Mac to have it work. Um, So I'm just gonna pop out of here. I'm gonna make a new folder, and then we'll get going. So I'll just throw it in my web class folder. Say YouTube, or yeah. What's the day? I have no idea what the date is. Tuesday, the 26th. 126, 21. All right. So I'm gonna pull the folder onto VS Code. It's gonna pop it open. Um, Over here on the left, we're going to be able to actually start our page off. So I'm just making sure my head's not in the way as usual. Um, Alright, so let's check this out. So over to the left here, you can right click, new file, and then we can do index.html. That's going to be the basic start right there. Nothing too complicated, just get your page going. So then we just can hit the exclamation mark, tab, boom, got our page going. So this index.html, it can be named anything you want. It doesn't have to be named index. You can name it main.html, home.html, whatever is like your fancy. That's what you want to name it. It does have to be .html at the end. That's the extension. The extension is really important because if you don't have that HTML extension, then you're not going to be able to actually have your page run properly. So that's number one. Second, once you type the exclamation mark and tab right here in this middle section, you're going to get what we call the HTML boilerplate. All your basic HTML is going to be everything you need to get started and then to kind of keep going. I'm going to go through piece by piece what each of these mean, at least in like a basic sense. So we start off with doc type. Um, I'm not going to have you worry about this a ton, but it's just saying the document type is HTML. We have our HTML tags. For now, lang just means that English. Again, don't focus on that. You just want to focus on the tags to start. So we have our head tag here, and the head tag is going to be where we put all of our links, where we put our title, where we have our metadata. Anything like that can go in the head tag. There's one link, which is the script tag for JavaScript when we get to that, that can go in the body as well. And it can either go in the head or the body. There's going to be specific situations where that happens, and I'm going to explain each of them. So there's a couple main tags you want to look at here, so we can kind of break this down. I'm going to get rid of the metadata for a second just to make it more simple. Get rid of the lang for a second. You can leave all that stuff if you'd like, but it's perfectly fine just to um, leave this very bare bones version of the boilerplate. So again, we have our head with all our links in our title, and then we have the body tags and the HTML tag. So HTML text first, it wraps everything. So anything between the HTML tag is your HTML. And that has to go run everything. You can't really put any HTML outside that tag, not going to run. You have your head tag, we already went over that. Then you have your body tag. What's the body tag to? The body tag basically has all of your content in it. What's content? Words, videos, images, audio, anything you have on your page, anything that's on like a normal web page, that goes in the content section. That pretty much covers the boilerplate. Um, Give me 1 second. So what we want to look at here on the body tag itself is how do we want to start off? So if I just put a word here, now this isn't proper at all. This is just throwing a simple word onto the page. I'm just going to show you a couple different ways to open it. So the first way to open it, and probably the most simple, is you just go over to your folder, and we have our index.html. You can double click it. It's going to open in Google Chrome if you have Chrome up, or you can right click it, open with Google Chrome. It opened on my other monitor, so let me just pull this over. So you can see that we have the word over here, right? This isn't the way that I typically open it, because this way you have to make sure that you save your VS Code document and you have to refresh this page every single time. The other way, you just have to save your VS Code document. So just make sure you do file save or like Command S or something of the sort, because it's really, really common that you run into an issue where it's not actually showing up, and that issue is that you didn't save the page. So that's just really common problem. So ignore that. Anyway, to move on, once we have this up, another thing we can do is we can use Live Server. So Live Server is going to be an extension on VS Code. It's if we go over here to the 4 squares on the left, you can see. Let me see where it is. So if I just type in live server, it's by Ritwik Day, I think. Yeah, it's this one. The one with like 9 million downloads. Um, Go ahead and install this if you want to. What it does is it basically gives you an extension that when I right click my index.html file, I can go open with live server, and then it'll pop up in my Chrome again on my other my other monitor. And then when I resize it, and we can actually look at it, uh, what you can see is if I make a change, it immediately changes in the browser, so I don't even have to refresh it or anything. So if I go here, and then I go new word, save it, it's already here. So it already says new word. So that's definitely a big benefit of Live Server, and that's why I recommend using it. I'll be using that for the duration, but if you want to do it the old way, just go and double click it. Go ahead, feel free. Um, Regardless, we'll actually kind of get started with some basic tags. So in the body tag here, what we can do is we can change new word to, I want to say, let's start with an H1. We'll go through this whole thing. So H1's a heading. Um, Headings go from H1 to H6. H6 is the smallest heading. H1 is the largest heading. So that's your range. You have H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, H6. Let me show you the first one. There's our nice big H1. And CSS, you can manipulate these. So they're not always the same size. They're not always going to be the same like format. It also depends on font, which font you're using. It depends on what CSS styles you have applied, anything like that. So if we want to take a look at an H6 right below this, we can go ahead and do that. There you go. So you have a much smaller heading comparative to your larger heading. This one looks actually ridiculous in comparison, but will live. Um, so let's see where we can go from here. I'm gonna bring up W3 Schools just as like a good resource to have, and we can kind of punch through all the different sections that they have on here. Elements and yeah, I guess we should go over p tags and such. All right. So after headings, you have p tags, and there's one thing I got to explain about tags while we do this. So p tags are your paragraph tags. So that's where your normal text comes in. Um, the thing you'll notice about most of these tags is they have an opening and a closing tag. So the h1 is an opening tag, and the /h1 is a closing tag. These are going to be really important because if you don't close your tags, HTML can't figure out where you actually are like stopping, like where the stopping point is. So it might think that like the h1's still open, and it might make all of your text headers. Even though we have this p tag around it, this is open indefinitely, so it thinks, oh no, I want the paragraph to be part of the h1, even though I don't. So that's something to look out for. Make sure you open and close your tags around whatever code you have that you want to manipulate. That's the main thing. Um, So a trick with the paragraph tag actually is what we call lorem, like lorem ipsum. Um, if you type in lorem, you do 15, we have a little trick here. So you click tab, and then you get all this weird Latin text. Um, go ahead and save that, and it'll reformat it. Actually, you need prettier the extension to reformat it, but we'll get around to that later. Um, you just like click enter somewhere in your text, and it'll move it down. Um, regardless, all this text is going to be placeholder text. So any Latin that you see on web pages is placeholder for new developers or experienced developers alike. They use this. Whenever they don't have any actual text that they're like putting up on their page, they use placeholder text. Um, so that's what you will see here, right here. And then if we want to change the amount of words we get with the lorem tag, we do lorem 10. So we only get 10 lorem ipsum words. Click enter, same deal. Um, make sure you don't put any spaces when you do that, and you don't click space after because it's not going to work. So you have to do lorem 10, enter, and that's how you get it. So that's just about it for that section. Um, let me check this out. Give me 1 second. Alrighty. Looks like we're good. Okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and go back to, let's go over BR tags. So BR tags are the break tag. These are unique because they're self-closing tags. So you don't actually have to have like a BR then another BR slash, and nothing goes in between either. So what a BR tag does is it gives you a line indent. So if I do like another heading tag here, you can see that there's like an empty space in between, and that's the break tag. So that's actually going to like bump us down one. Now, when you're starting out, you might think that this tag is like extremely useful because you know that's how you can handle spacing in your pages. Um, realistically, it's not actually used like at all. I mean, you'll see it every now and then, but you're mostly going to use CSS for a lot of this, and you don't end up having to use the HTML BR tag to get your actual spacing. Alright, so that covers like a couple basic tags, so we want to kind of keep going through these. Tags are going to be pretty simple for the most part. They're all going to be sectioned off the same except for the few that are self-closing, and you're going to want to go through, kind of like get some experience learning each of them, try each of them out, and then really from there, um, that's how you get experience. So type in a button tag here, click, and then we'll be able to see what a button looks like. So there's that. Now you notice that this one's a little more unique than the others. All HTML tags are is they're directions of what to do with some words that you put down on your page. That's all it is. So this click it looks like a button. So we might do something with that later because I frequent the incremental game subreddit and make some tutorial videos. So I think I'm probably gonna stream later today some content about that, and then we will go from there. Um, so let's see what we have here. We got our button, and what you do with this button is like, as you can see, this button doesn't work. It doesn't do anything. What's that about? Well, basically, you have to use JavaScript or CSS to have this button really be able to function. Now, it's going to be JavaScript focused. The CSS isn't going to really do the functionality. It can just do some cool animation tricks. Um, but the JavaScript's going to be the main thing, and without that, you're not really going to be able to get anything done. So right now we're just left with our normal boring button. Um, Let me see. Okay, let me edit this real quick. All right. So we can go over to, we already did heading tags. It's the button tag. There's image tags, which we should look at, which is IMG. You have two things in here. You have a source and an alt. The src, and in between these two quotes is going to be where you actually put the source of your image. And then the alt tag is going to be for accessibility. So for screen readers, if the image doesn't load, you want to describe what the image is. So if it's a snowboard, you want to say, hey, this is a snowboard, and go from there. So what I'll often do is I go over to Unsplash, and we can look up anything. So let's look up snowboard. There you go, we got some cool pictures. So let's just grab one of these. So you can go down, download like the size you want. This is going to be ridiculously big, but you can come drag it over to your VS Code. Right here on the side panel, you saw it highlight red. Right click this, rename snowboard. It's just easier to work with than like the elongated text names. So then in our source, that's where you put the actual link, like how does this HTML page get to this source. So for this case, the way it's going to get to it is it's going to go over to snowboard.jpg, and then it's going to, what do you call it? It's going to link it directly. And then the alt tag could just be a snowboard. So if we look at the page now, you can see we have this huge snowboard image. It's way too big because the resolution is just too big for the page right now, but we'll worry about that later. Um, I'll be back in 2 seconds. Be right Sorry about that. Um, I really need to make like a an away thing where it's like I'm not here right now. Um, anyway, let's keep going. So I have literally no idea where we were. Oh, we just did the image. All right, so let me show you some more image property stuff. Uh, we got height. So if we did height equals, and then the two quotes, this is what we call like an HTML attribute. Um, we can specify like a size. So I believe it's in pixel units. So like pixels on your screen. That's what the number is indicating. So if it's like 400, that's going to be 400 pixels. If we look at it now, there you go. It's about 400 pixels tall. And you'll also notice that kind of like truncated next to this, like it fell in line with the button. So if we want to get rid of that, you can use the good old BR tag. There you go. Now it's below it. Um, that's basically it. You can do the same thing for width, which I constantly spell wrong. I just put like the D in between the T and H, and it's a whole disaster. But we can say maybe that's 200, 400 by 200, so it looks horrible. There you go. You got your first web page. Anyway, you want to make sure, like for most pictures that you're getting, you're gonna want them to be horizontal. Vertical pictures can be useful, especially on mobile phones. They can be good for certain sizes and layouts, but for a lot of the pictures you're getting, you're probably going to be getting horizontal landscape photos. So on Unsplash, if you run into that, where you absolutely need one that's horizontal and you don't want a vertical photo, you just come up here to any orientation and you click landscape, and then bada bing, bada boom, here you are, all landscape photos. So that's what I recommend. Anyhow, I was just making sure like the stream was caught up with everything. Here we are though. So what we're gonna do is, let's see what we're gonna look at next. Alright, yeah, we'll look at some of these weird tags. So there's HTML formatting tags like bold, italic, mark, emphasize, superscript, subscript, like the little ones that are like under with exponents, and the ones that are over. Um, Deleted text, which is like a slash through. I thought that these would be the most useful thing in the entire world. Like, I really thought that these were going to be extremely prominent in my day-to-day coding. They're not. Most of the stuff you're going to do with CSS, like right here, see how this like emet? I don't know how to pronounce Latin words, so my bad on that one. But this emet is going to be slashed out more or less. That's from the del tag. So this one might actually be useful for something like if you are, I mean, I would still just do it in CSS, but I guess you could do it in HTML. Maybe you have like a website like Shopify or something. You're making like a cart website and people are buying things on it and you can do like price slashing. That's one thing I could think of. I don't really see another situation where this would be extremely useful, but this is one of them. Um, Other than that, you have like the emphasis tag, which is EM. That's going to be your italic. You have the B tag for bold. I also does italic from what I understand. I think emphasize and italic are slightly different. Yeah, no, they look exactly the same. I don't know on that one, honestly. But regardless, we're going to do most of this stuff in CSS, so not really an HTML issue for the most part. Um, let's see what we got here. So I just realized I'm muted. I wonder how long I've been muted for. Um, oh good. I was muted for a minute. Um, I don't even know. I gotta change my bitrate though real quick. So give me 1 second. Let me look at our settings. I don't know if that changed what I wanted. Um, maybe. Sorry about that. Not super well versed in streaming on YouTube. This is the first time that I've done it. Oh, we've lost our bar. There we go. Alright, so we're going to go back to this then. Basically, all I was saying is I'm going to go over A tags, and then we're going to jump into CSS. So let's go right here. Let's get rid of basically everything we've done. And we're going to throw an A tag down. This is a fancy thing called an href. It's a reference. It's like maybe you want to reference the Wikipedia page of volcanoes, right? Then, that's everything. We're flying off our seats to learn about volcanoes. So let's come over here. We're going to go Wikipedia page volcanoes, and then I don't see anything. Why is that? I probably didn't save my page. I did save my page. Um, oh, I didn't put anything between my H tag. That's the issue. Volcano. That's gonna be the word that shows up. I click on this. Yay! I'm brought to the page on volcanoes. That's a really basic link. It looks like a 1998 web page link. Uh, it's it's not wonderful, but we can make it a little classier as we go. Regardless, that's the basics. So that's it for HTML. I mean, obviously, we're still going to be using HTML to code the rest of this, but that's going to be the HTML for the main section. So after this, we can go ahead and do. Let's get CSS going. So we'll do style.css. And again, you can name this what you want. I actually recommend naming this one style, especially if you're like starting out. This is the only web page you have. Just do style.css. However, um, actually, yeah, just name it style.css. Um, above the title tag, you're going to do link, or it can be below it. It just has to be in the head somewhere. So put this link tag somewhere inside of the head tags. You do link colon CSS, and then you get this, which gives you link rel style sheet. I believe this is the relationship. Yeah, this is the relationship, and this is saying like, how is this CSS related to the current HTML page we're on now? Well, the relationship is that is the style sheet, and then this href is going to be like, what's the actual link? Like, where is that style sheet? And this is the style.css because it's right here, over here on the left side. So that's how we find it. Um, Other than that, I did want to go over the title real quick, which is if we look at the top left up here, you can see document. That's what the title is. So maybe we'll call this first web page. There you go. Um, that's it, basically. That's the whole thing. Uh, excuse me. Um, Okay. So that's our setup. So now I'm just gonna kind of make. Oh, give me 1 second.